Video game companions are meant to aid you in your adventures. They're there to support you every step of the way, making life easier for you. Except when they don't do that, they do the opposite of that. Every once in a while, you stumble upon a companion who, instead of helping you, seems like they do everything within their power to make things harder. Sometimes they have good intentions, but in reality, letting these followers join you is kind of your first step towards doom. I'm Jess from WhatCulture, and here are 10 helpful companions that actually make the game harder. Number 10. Ilia, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. The companions in Skyrim are mostly used for hauling your excess dragon bones, but they can also prove to be a lifesaver in difficult battles, especially when you're low on health and need somebody to distract the enemy while you run off to heal. That is unless you're traveling with Ilia, in which case your companion is about as dangerous as the enemy. Ilia is a unique mage companion that the player can recruit by completing the mission Repentance. On paper, Ilia sounds like an incredible follower. She's an expert spellcaster who has access to high-tier ice spells like Ice Storm, and that allows her to deal huge amounts of damage to multiple enemies at once. However, because there's no protection against friendly fire in the game, the same spell is unfortunately just as deadly to you. Ilia doesn't really care about aiming her burst of ice away from you. Instead, she'll hurl it into whatever place has the most enemies, and since that usually means they're on top of you, you're pretty much guaranteed to be caught in it as well and die to the ludicrous amounts of cold damage it deals. She might be effective at killing your foes, but unfortunately she's just as effective as killing you, so you won't be around to witness that. Number 9. Pariah Dog, Fallout 2. Fallout 2 boasts a wide array of potential recruits, ranging from a teenage drug lord to a super intelligent deathclaw. Each of these companions comes with their own unique perk that you get for traveling with them, and although most of these yield useful benefits to the player, as you'd hope given it's a perk, there is one follower who bestows you with a curse instead. The so-called Pariah Dog is a recruitable canine companion who joins your party as a bad omen. To get him, the player needs to find him during a random encounter and then fail a hidden luck test that the game runs every few seconds when you're near him. Once the luck roll yields a negative result, the Pariah Dog will force himself onto your team, instantly bestowing you with his perk, which drops your luck stat to 0. The worst part is that the Pariah Dog can't be dismissed, so unless you find a way to get him killed, you might as well consider yourself killed, as all your attacks will miss and all your skill checks will fail. A Pariah Dog is definitely no dogmate. Number 8. The Stranger, Armello. Armello is a digital board game in which your goal is to dethrone the current king by whatever means necessary. To aid you in your quest, the game features a variety of different items and allies that provide you with unique bonuses, which is why coming across almost any friendly face is definitely welcome. Almost, because you can also end up with the Stranger. Unlike the other companions who boost your character, the Stranger is specifically designed to make your life harder. Although he appears as a potential reward for exploring dungeons, he's more of a curse because his special ability forces you to always waste your first turn by moving in a random direction. This is not only annoying because you're gonna take longer going to where you need to be, but also because the Stranger can take you to a dangerous spot, causing you to lose your health. To make things even worse, once the Stranger forces himself into your party, the only way to remove him is to end your turn near another player and hope that the Stranger will randomly choose to bother them instead. So you best hope he doesn't like you too much. Like how mosquitoes don't like biting me. Pros to being unpopular. Number 7. Distrutio, Rise of Nations, Rise of Legends. Rise of Legends is the steampunk spin-off of the cult classic RTS title Rise of Nations. Although the gameplay is similar to its historical counterpart in a bunch of different ways, it also introduces new concepts, like recruitable heroes that can aid you during missions with unique powers that are capable of completely changing the course of individual battles. That typically means changing them in your favor, as you'd hope, but in the case of Distrutio, well, it's a mixed bag. Distrutio, as I've decided that is the correct pronunciation. If I'm wrong, I'm so sorry, but I'm gonna keep going, is an inventor that the player unlocks relatively early in the game. His speciality is producing potions that are capable of fully healing all your units within their area of effect. And while this ability is definitely a lifesaver in critical situations, there is a catch. Distrutio also has a small chance of spawning explosives instead. The inventor's ability is completely random, meaning that even though it can offer you the best healing in the game, it also has a chance of backfiring horribly quickly and killing all your units in a single explosion. When you play with Distrutio, you don't only duel against your opponent, you're also fighting against that one unlucky moment that can cost you your entire campaign. Number 6. Dixon, Lisa the Painful. Lisa the Painful's companions are as random and ridiculous as the rest of the game. You have a silent assassin wearing a fish for a helmet, a rhyming goose, and everyone's favorite tutorial buddy, Terry Hints. However, while all those followers may seem silly, they actually tend to be pretty helpful, save for the one character who, ironically, is the only one claiming to be a hero. Dixon, also known as Salvation Pink, is a middle-aged man who roleplays a Power Ranger knockoff character alongside his friends, the Salvation Rangers. When the player recruits him into their party, Dick seems like he could be a useful member, no pun intended, as his special attack can hit multiple targets at once for a ton of damage. However, in reality, you don't actually get to use his powers very often, as Dick is addicted to a drug called joy. Man, that was a tricky one to say. Unless you feed him the drug regularly, which by the way also has to be taken by the main character, Dick will suffer withdrawals and start missing all of his shots. By that point, Dick becomes nothing but a dead weight, which either leeches away precious resources or doesn't do anything in battle. But please feel welcome to hit up that comment section with any more puns that occur to you about this entry. Number 5. Strong, Fallout 4. Having a buddy in Fallout 4 can make your life a hell of a lot easier. They can take some of the heat off you during battle and some of the loot when you're overloaded. The best thing is that the only thing your companions ask for in return is keeping them happy by doing the things they like. Luckily, pleasing most of your companions is pretty easy, though there is one follower whose likes and dislikes are so specific it can actually become annoying. Strong is Fallout 4's only super mutant companion. Like the rest of his brothers, he's not very bright, if we put it nicely, and he prefers violence over more peaceful ways of resolving things. Now, that wouldn't be a problem if you were role-playing an aggressive character yourself, if it weren't for the fact that Strong's dislike for subtlety is so, well, strong that he gets upset whenever you pick a lock or hack a terminal. While you're traveling with Strong, you basically cannot loot any locked treasures or perform basic interactions with computers, as you risk him getting super upset and attacking you. While you could abstain from lockpicking and hacking until you raise your affinity with him, let's be honest, do you really not want to loot? I feel like, I don't know, are you me? Then I feel like you probably want to loot. Sorry, Strong. Number 4. Mud, Gothic. Gothic 1, as well as the rest of the series, isn't really known for having any recruitable companions. Although your character makes a lot of friends along their quest in the colony, there's only really one person who follows you around, and they're awful at it. Mud is an annoying miner from the old camp who cannot make friends. That's why when he stumbles upon you, he decides to tag along, even when you very clearly tell him you'd rather jump into a pit and die. Still, despite his importunate attitude, you might think that having another person in your otherwise one-man show will probably make things easier. Well, I mean, you know the title of this list, you couldn't be any more wrong if you were thinking that was the case. It turns out Mud is just as annoying to you as he is to everyone and everything else. The miner will not only aggravate the other NPCs you interact with, which makes it harder to perform specific actions, but he also lures in hostile creatures with his obnoxiously loud behavior. No wonder Mud has no friends. Anyone who somehow tolerated him probably died to those who didn't. Number 3. Natalyia Simanova, GoldenEye. Natalyia Simanova is James Bond's companion in the GoldenEye movie, who also makes an appearance in the N64 game adaptation. Like her movie counterpart, the video game Natalyia is a Russian programmer who helps Bond with gaining access to restricted areas. She appears in several levels to do just that, and while you'd think that having an additional person on your team would be helpful, it is anything but. Yet again, you get it, we're down at number 3. Although Natalyia does carry a gun in most levels and can help you take out some enemies, unfortunately, her AI is atrociously dumb. The programmer has a tendency to run in front of your gun. In fact, she can do it so quickly and spontaneously that in the heat of battle, you won't even notice when her head positions itself before your barrel, right as you're about to pull the trigger. Yes, since Natalyia is not very good at staying out of your sight, she dies a lot to accidental friendly fire. And because she's an essential NPC, that means it's just a full-on game over. Her willingness to eat bullets is especially bad on the control level, where she's probably the #1 cause of failed runs. She really must crave lead. Poor girl. Number 2. Skyla St. Clair, the Saboteur. The Saboteur is another spy-centric game where the player gets to sabotage the enemy forces alongside some femme fatale companions. Coincidentally, it also features some really terrible AI that turns your followers into more of a nuisance than help. Because the game is largely unfinished and filled with bugs, pretty much any of your potential friends in the French Resistance have a tendency to ruin your mission. They get in your way, alert your enemies to your presence, and overall have the survival instinct of a lemming hurling itself off a cliff. The worst example of that is probably Skyla St. Clair, aka the daring English SOE operative. Skyla's main problem is that she's just a little too daring. In the mission where she accompanies you, she doesn't care much about stealth and instead chooses to walk right into the middle of the street, where she's immediately shot at by German forces. If she dies, the mission is instantly failed, and since it's a bit harder to keep her alive against German tanks, she tends to die quite a lot. Nobody mentioned the Resistance was secretly a babysitting gig. Number 1. Ashley Graham, Resident Evil 4. The recent Resident Evil 4 remake has added a lot of fixes and changes to the original release, including a significant improvement to Ashley Graham's AI. And thank the Capcom overlords for this decision, because the original behavior of everyone's favorite presidential daughter was easily the most annoying part of the game. Ashley Graham plays a huge role in Resi 4, as her kidnapping is the main reason why Leon is sent to Spain. After Leon finds and frees Ashley, the girl accompanies him, and although the developer's idea was to make her helpful, giving her means of distracting enemies, unlocking inaccessible locations, and even operating heavy machines, in reality her AI is so helpless that it completely outweighs whatever benefits she brings. While she follows Leon around, she has a tendency to walk into obvious traps, get easily captured by enemies, and generally cause you a headache as you gotta stop every few seconds to rescue her out of whatever trouble she's wandered into. Thankfully, the new Ashley is much better at handling herself, but the old school fans probably still experience PTSD when they hear someone yelling "Leon"